Good morning. It's February 7th, 2022. It's a Monday. Oops, drat. Got the mic cord caught. Yes, I still got the external mic cord out on because, it won't work. It'll quit at some point, probably about 10 minutes in, but a little bit longer. And then we'll be without it for the rest of the certainly not PM. That would be weird. It's warm-ish. -6, going to +1 today, going above freezing, so we'll get some melting. Supposed to be really warm on, is it Thursday, +4 or 5 or something? So we'll get a lot of melting. And then it cools off, but not, there's no bitterly cold weather in the forecast now, and we are into the first week of February, so hopefully the bitterest, most bitter, I guess that's the word. There was some really beautiful color in the sky earlier, but I wasn't out yet, so I missed it. The bitterest, that's the word, weather is behind us. I'm only wearing my leather jacket today, not my parka. Feels a little cool at the moment, but it will warm up as I walk, of course. And it's Monday, so that means it's along the creek. Probably walk down the southern end of town sometime this week. Maybe tomorrow. I have to go get kitty litter, so sometimes I combine that with a walk down in that area just to be different. Uncleared sidewalk here. Into the dike. What have I got to do this week? Publishing stuff. I've got a couple of grant applications I need to finish up. One's for an audiobook subsidy, hopefully to maybe get some funds to allow me to do audiobooks of the 2 books Shadow Paw Press will be publishing. One for marketing and development grant, which can help to defray my current work with a book marketing agency to develop long-term marketing plans, processes, hopefully effective ones. Truck running down here, I don't know why. Later in the year, I'll be applying for book production grants for the production of these first 2 books. Not first 2 really, I've published lots of books, but as I move into a more traditional publishing space. And I'm also looking at a book for possible publishing through my Shadow Paw Press Reprise imprint, which will publish previously published work that's been orphaned. The collapse or departure or closing down, or however you want to put it, of another publisher. So that's coming too. I'm looking at a book now that I'd be happy to have, but we'll see what the author wants to go with the deal I'll offer. And got another author interested, and I've slowly putting out feelers in a sort of minor way to see if I can find a few more. Here we are. So the sun is up over there, but the sky is still really pretty. It's hiding behind the trees right now. And there's a rock in my shoe, so that's a great way to start a 15-minute walk. Rock or what it is, but I can certainly feel it. Somebody talking loudly behind me. I think they must be on a cell phone. You can see there's some ski tracks on either side here, with the sort of beaten down pedestrian track in the middle. I'll just follow kind of my standard pattern this morning. Don't know how far I'll go. See the sun touching the top of the apartment building over there. I have not seen a message telling me that the mic has disconnected, but that doesn't prove anything. Condo building actually over there. It will find us soon enough. Definitely on a cell phone, talking at the top of her lungs to her dog otherwise, which doesn't seem likely. Looking east. Looking west. Seeing lots of dogs. It's warmer, so we'll start seeing more people. On the paths, probably. There's a third dog. With the person attached. Don't usually see the dogs on their own. Occasionally see somebody walking their kid too to school. Morning. I forgot to turn off the Wi-Fi as I was leaving, so there's probably a gap at the very beginning of this live stream when it hands off from the Wi-Fi to the cell phone. I try to remember to turn off the Wi-Fi before I start, but I forgot this morning. Waterfall Park, no waterfall going for the foreseeable future. Hi, Kirk in Vancouver. This rock in my shoe is really annoying, or whatever it is. I think it looks quite beaten enough down there for me to wade down there. Beaten down, I mean. You can walk a little closer to the river through the bushes, but there's no actual path. Except what's been made by people. Looks like cross-country skiers have been down that way. Sun lighting up the trees on the other side there. So it continues to rise. It'll pop up over there before long. Get above the buildings. There's the dome of the legislature actually through there, silhouetted. Turning the tops of the trees orange. And even these ones up here now. Our talkative dog walker over there, paralleling me. It's about as cold as I would want to switch from the parka to the leather jacket at -5 or 6. I can tell it wouldn't be enough if I were out and not walking. But as I walk, it'll be adequate. And probably just about right. Already starting to feel much warmer. And there goes the mic. I'll reconnect it at least once. See how long it lasts. I mean, if I catch it, I can reconnect it multiple times, but the wired one here is pretty easy to reconnect. When I was using the wireless one and it went off, it was impossible, really. Another dog and dog walker. Morning. Is that Mike? That's some beautiful bits for sure. And there went my mic again. Let's see what happens. At some point it'll disconnect and I won't notice, and that'll be that. It's not that you can't hear me, it's just the sound quality isn't as good without the external mic. We were watching, one thing that happens with the external mic is, I don't know if it's like compressing background noise or what it's doing. You get this kind of weird, sounds like a jet going over all the time in the background, and it'll kind of go up and down. And we were watching, because we've been watching 70s movies, we were watching Boys from Brazil on Saturday, and the whole soundtrack sounded like that. Got it on iTunes. The whole soundtrack made that sound. It sounded like they had tried to, I don't know, if they compressed the sound or something. Probably the transfer to video was a long time ago. It just wasn't good. Right, there it goes again. If it does that every 2 or 3 minutes, I'll stop even trying. I keep hoping it'll settle in and keep working, but I'm not getting a good feeling about it since that's now the third time I plugged it back in. And there's no reason for it. It's so annoying. I had none of these problems till sometime in the fall. And unfortunately, the only thing I can now think is that it might be the oven that I was using before didn't have this problem. Now I'm on a 13 and I'm having these problems. And whether it's something in the design itself or some problem, minor problem with my lightning port, but you know, it's not like it refuses to charge. So I don't think it's the lightning port. And when I tested it at home, not walking, not streaming, well, I was streaming, but just at home. On a test video, it stayed up for an hour, no problem. As soon as I come out and start walking, it starts disconnecting every few minutes. I'm at my wit's end. There it goes again. I'm not going to keep plugging it in. It's going to do it every 2 minutes. Okay. Right then, we'll just stick with the built-in microphone. I mean, probably gives better ambient sound, but it certainly doesn't do my talking any favors. Maybe it'll do better in warm weather. Let's see. But it was disconnecting in warm weather before, so. And maybe it's the app. That's the other possibility. And I could change apps, but this is the only one I know of that lets you live stream to both Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I'll stop. The sun's definitely up now. There it is. And rest here. Pigeons usually live on the bridge or hang out down there anyway. So I thought it might have something to do with the live streaming to two places, but no, it doesn't seem to make any difference. It's still disconnect. And I could switch apps, but any app I get I'd have to pay for. That would do it for what I need. It looks like. Do some more research. Hi. Is that? The cold can get you? Not today. It's only -6 and it's going to +1. Our dog, one dog, 3 people. No, 2 dogs, 3 people. Morning.
Morning. Morning. Morning.
Now on Friday when I walked around the lake, no talking, it was minus 35 or something. The wind chill was minus 32. Wind chill was minus 38 or something like that. So yeah, the cold could definitely get you there if you didn't keep moving. Well, even today the cold could get you if you were dressed for it. Somebody said to me, with regard to these videos actually, not that long ago, that there's no such thing as bad weather, just poor clothing choices. It was a very sad story actually during the blizzard a couple of weeks ago. I've got a young fellow down in Tribune that for some reason he was in his tractor, he left it running and seemed to have tried to walk home and got disoriented and froze to death in the blizzard. His tractor was still running when they found it. If he just stayed with the tractor, he would have been fine. You get those stories about once every couple of years in Saskatchewan. Something like that. Don't worry, I won't get lost. I won't freeze to death. Can't promise I won't fall. I've done that once on ice, which was painful, and once in snow that was deeper than I thought, which was just annoying. So I just kind of went to my knee there, but the other time I went down hard. Back on November 11th, I believe, right after the snow arrived. I'll go back and check it out. Take a fall with me. What's that? Yeah, I saw that story too. That was a nasty storm. When you're in the city, you don't usually get quite the sense of what it's like out in the country. But in that blizzard, it was hard to see across our street, even with everything being somewhat sheltered. And of course with buildings instead of just long stretches of snow. So out in the storm on the prairie, it must have been literally zero visibility. I don't suppose it's ever really zero. You can see your hand in front of your face, but not much further, perhaps. My first published short story was about two kids caught in a blizzard in the early part of the last century. It's published in Western Producer in, what was that called? They had a supplement magazine that published fiction. Western Producer is an agricultural newspaper. Actually, wasn't that much snow in the blizzard, but we've had more snow since, so we had snow before. It was mostly just blowing. There was some fresh snow, but it wasn't a huge amount. This is just what's piled up since the snow came in November. We haven't had any significant melts. Some in November, I guess. But basically, this is just the snow that's fallen all winter, and it's been pushed up when they cleared the path here. But as I know from having walked out onto the creek a couple of times, on the level it's certainly deep enough to be annoying. Or over there, it would be. certainly at least half a meter maybe on the ground in our front yard, which is how I measure it best if I have to shovel it. You look at how high the piles are on either side of your walk. That gives you a pretty good idea of how much snow there is on the level. I'm just going to follow my shorter path today. Won't go on that way. Perhaps trouble is I just don't know how well things are cleared, and if I go that way I end up going a considerable distance that way, and I'm already 26 minutes. I'll go this way. Keep it around the 50-minute walk today. Up here to Pasco Street. Please do. I have written rather a lot. Mike just said he didn't know who I was until he Googled. If you like science fiction and fantasy, that's the bulk of my writing. And I have a publishing company too called Shadow Paw Press, which over time will publish more and more stuff that isn't mine. It's partly set up to publish stuff of mine that was orphaned, and a couple of things I just wanted to get out. But I will be publishing 2 new books this fall, both non-science fiction, but one is by an author well known for his science fiction, Matthew Hughes. A young adult book called The Emir's Falcon, and the other one is a story set in post-Second World War Saskatchewan called Thickwood. And professional women's baseball, and a very entertaining story, and a good character. For my own, I have a space opera coming out from my New York publisher sometime this year, probably in the fall, called The Tangled Stars. It'll be my 12th novel for Law Books. There's the sunrise. ShadowPawPress.com is the publishing company, and of course just Google my name on Amazon or search for it on Amazon and you'll see everything. Or my website, of course, edwardwillett.com. And of course, in March, I'll have a Kickstarter again for the Shapers of Worlds Anthology Volume 3, which features authors who are guests on my Aurora award-winning podcast, The World Shapers. Many of them are international bestsellers, major award winners. And the fiction runs from science fiction to fantasy to horror. Got some great backers rewards lined up. I'll be assembling the Kickstarter this week, I hope. Has to be approved before you can set a launch date definitively. So I need to get it set up and get feedback from the authors and so forth and so on. get up here, we'll go down over there again and walk along the dike on the north side of the creek once I get over there. Bit of a ski trail there. I don't know how those form. That's not been groomed, I don't think. So presumably somebody starts skiing and next person comes along and says, oh, somebody's already been this way. And the next thing you know, you got a ski trail. Thank you. I never know how much delay there is between something pops up and when I respond to it. But I hope so. Yeah, I've been a science fiction guy from the beginning. My first short story I ever wrote, I was 11 years old. It was the first one I finished anyway. It was called Castor Glass, Hypership Test Pilot. If I was 11, that was about 1970. And then I wrote longer and longer stuff. Wrote 3 novels in high school. 4, kind of. 3 revised one. And actually, the first novel I kind of seriously attempted to get published, I did publish through Shadowpaw Press, called Star Song. Completely rewrote it. I do believe I write better now than then, and I think it's a much better book than it was when I wrote it. Although it almost got published, even back then. It was Walker and Company, which is a major children's publisher, young adult publisher at the time. I don't know if they still are. Josephus Sherman was the editor there, and I sent it to her, and she asked me to do some revisions and resubmit it, which I did. And she said I'd done exactly what it needed. She was ready to make an offer on it. And the publisher died, and his son took over the company, and his son promptly made a lot of changes, and one of those was no more science fiction. And that book did not find a home, despite going to other places, despite having come that close to being published by a major publisher. So of all my stuff that never found a home, that was the one I most wanted to publish through Shadowpaw Press, which I did. Can't say it set the world on fire. It had some nice reviews, sold a few copies, but it's out there anyway. You never know. I suddenly became incredibly famous because of my Walking in Regina videos. People will start buying everything I ever wrote in droves by the caseload. I'll be rolling in the wealth. I'll be able to hire somebody to do my walks for me. Oh, Jeeves, go out and walk along the creek this morning. There's a good fellow. I'll add the narration later. Good work. Oh no, I don't exercise myself. I have people to do that for me. I have committed poetry. Certainly not a thing I do on a regular basis, but in 2018, for Poetry Month, which was April, or is April every month, every year, Gerald Hill, who was the poet laureate of Saskatchewan at the time, issued a challenge for the month. Every weekday, he sent out 2 lines of published Saskatchewan poetry, and the challenge was to create a new poem utilizing those 2 lines, or write a new poem responding to those lines in some fashion. And I took it on enthusiastically, and I did it every day. I wrote a new poem using those 2 lines, but being who I am, they're all science fiction fantasy poems. And then at the end, I had 24 poems, which is enough for a poetry book. Some of them were quite long. So I dithered for a while. Oh, and 5 of them were used, 5 or 6 of them were used in a book called Line Dance, which was edited by Gerald and published by Burton House Books. But I wanted to put out all of them, so I worked with your Nicholsworth Press and commissioned an artist, happened to be my niece in Alberta, Wendy Nordell, to illustrate every one of them. And I was just really happy with the result. It got some good reviews. It got it was just a great experience, and I think the book's quite good too. So that's my poetry book. It's called I Tumbled Through the Diamond to Dust. And the best thing is, aside from having my poetry published, was that my niece, so impressed Heather Nichol at your Nicholsworth and other publishers, that she's now illustrated several books and the like. And I just hired her to do the new logo for Shadowpaw Press. Drawing of our cat, Shadowpaw, which is where the company gets its name from. So it's amazing how one thing leads to another. I'll be the first to say my poems are really stories in poetry form, and perhaps a little too much so for being really terrific poetry, but some of them I thought worked really well. They were certainly fun to do. Okay, we're walking into the sun, which is now behind clouds again, but is up. There's the legislative building. It's this little skating rink that somebody has made on the ice. Let's see. How far should I go along the dike before I head down toward home? All the way to the bridge again? Could. Dog. Hearing a clicking sound. I don't know where it's coming from. It seems to be coming from the gimbal, so it means you must be hearing it too. But I don't know why it would be clicking. Is it the back of the phone somehow touching the gimbal? Possibly. No? I just don't know. We're going this way. Decided not to walk all the way down to the bridge. I have no idea what's making that sound. Yes, Jeeves could do a lot if only I had one. Jeeves, feed the cat. Jeeves, empty the litter. Jeeves, shovel the walk. More coffee, Jeeves. More wine, Jeeves. Martini, please, Jeeves. Yeah. Butler, that's what I need. I need a butler. I still can't make sense out of where that clicking's coming from. It's annoying. Nothing obvious. Ooh, I smell wood smoke. This is Garnet Street, which is where I lived when I first came to this neighborhood. Next block down. Before I was married. And then I married someone who also lived in this neighborhood, so I didn't have to go very far. There used to be a big stone, like a boulder, that had been carved roughly in the shape of a bison on this corner. And then whoever lived here moved. I always wondered what happened to that thing. I mean, it literally weighed a ton. Probably more than a ton. There's a dog coming. Turned the corner. Henderson Terrace, which I often walk by. Heritage building, row houses. All condos now, I presume. That's the way it's organized. I'm a lot taller than that. This is my eye level. Duck. Through the exhaust. Don't feel cold at all now, quite warm. So near the end of the walk. How long to here? 46. Yeah, about 50 minutes. Yeah, if I hold the phone, the clicking stops. It's the gimbal somehow making that sound. Don't know why. Hey, 1 block to go. Click, 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 click. Jogger. I think I've seen this jogger before. And there's our stop sign that I traditionally stop at when I come this way. So I will traditionally stop. Thanks for walking with me. I should be back tomorrow and the rest of this week. Weather looks good. So if you enjoyed that little walk along the creek here in Regina, Saskatchewan, and bye for now.